ladies and gentlemen. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the most profound truths of the human experience: stop looking for love. Now, before you misunderstand me, let me clarify, I'm not telling you to give up on love. No, love is essential. It's the lifeblood of connection, the glue that holds us together. What I'm saying is that the search, the chase, the desperate clawing for love outside of ourselves is not where we'll find it. You see, somewhere along the way, we were sold this idea that love is a destination, that it's something we earn, that we're incomplete until someone sees us, chooses us, validates us. And so we search. We contort ourselves into versions of what we think someone else might want. We lose pieces of ourselves, hoping someone will finally complete the puzzle. But here's the hard truth. The kind of love we're chasing cannot be found in someone else. Love isn't a trophy. It's not a transaction. And it's definitely not a prize for good behavior. Love starts here inside. It starts with the courage to sit with yourself, to acknowledge the parts of you that feel unworthy, unseen, or broken, and say, even this is lovable, even this deserves kindness. Now, I know some of you are thinking, but how to love myself when I've been told I'm not enough, when I've been rejected, hurt, or abandoned? And let me tell you, I get it. It's hard. We live in a world that profits from our insecurity, a world that thrives on telling us we need to be thinner, smarter, richer, more perfect to be loved. But here's the truth the world doesn't want you to know. You are already whole. You don't need to be fixed. The love you're looking for is already within you, waiting for permission to bloom. So instead of looking for love, I challenge you to do something radical: become love. Be the love you crave. Show up for yourself the way you wish someone else was. Be tender with your pain. Be forgiving of your mistakes. Be generous with your dreams. And something magical happens when you stop chasing love and start living as love. You'll find that you attract people who see you not the mask you wear, not the performance you put on, but you. And their love will feel like an addition to your life, not the foundation of it. Love starts within. It's not something we find, achieve, or earn. It's something we cultivate, something we nurture. This concept might sound simple, but for many of us, it's one of the hardest lessons to learn. We live in a world that constantly tells us to look outward to seek validation, to win approval, to measure our worth through the eyes of others. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that love is something external, something we must chase or deserve. But here's the truth: the love we so desperately seek is already within us. When we focus on external sources of love, we enter a cycle of dependence. We tie our value to someone else's opinions, actions, or acceptance of us. We mold ourselves into what we think others want, afraid that if we show up as our true selves, we'll be rejected or abandoned. But the problem with this approach is that it creates an unfillable void. No amount of external validation can replace the inner connection we need with ourselves. True love, the kind that feels expansive, freeing, and unconditional, begins with self-love. And self-love isn't about arrogance or self-absorption. It's about recognizing your inherent worth. It's about understanding that you are enough just as you are, without needing to prove, perform, or perfect. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, compassion, and grace that you would offer a dear friend. But let's be real, this isn't easy. For many of us, self-love is buried under layers of doubt, insecurity, and past hurts. We carry stories of not being good enough, smart enough, or lovable enough, and these stories shape the way we see ourselves. Cultivating self-love requires us to confront those stories, to challenge them, and to rewrite them. It means sitting with our pain instead of running from it, acknowledging our imperfections instead of hiding them, and choosing to see them as part of what makes us beautifully human. It's a practice, not a destination. Some days, self-love will feel natural and effortless. Other days, it will feel like an uphill battle. But every small act of love toward yourself matters. Every time you set a boundary, prioritize your well-being, or speak kindly to yourself, you are reinforcing the belief that you are worthy of love, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. When we start from a place of self-love, everything changes. Our relationships shift because we're no longer seeking someone else to complete us or fix us. We stop settling for crumbs because we know we deserve the feast. We show up differently in the world with more confidence, authenticity, and openness because we're no longer afraid of being seen for who we truly are. Self-love isn't just the foundation of a fulfilling life, it's the essence of it. Stop chasing validation from others. You are already enough. From the moment we step into this world, society begins to shape how we perceive our worth. We're taught to seek approval from parents, teachers, peers, and later romantic partners, bosses, and even strangers on social media. It becomes ingrained in us that our value is something we must earn, something contingent upon how others see us. We spend so much of our lives trying to meet expectations, trying to prove that we're worthy, that we're good enough, that we're lovable. But this endless pursuit of external validation is a trap, one that leaves us feeling hollow and perpetually unsatisfied. When we chase validation, we give away our power. We place our sense of self-worth in the hands of others, making it fragile and dependent on forces we cannot control. A compliment might lift us, but a single criticism can shatter us. The approval of one person can make us feel on top of the world, but the indifference of another can plunge us into self-doubt. This is not the foundation for a life of fulfillment. It's a recipe for emotional exhaustion, as we constantly strive to mold ourselves into versions of who we think others want us to be. The truth is, you are already enough just as you are. Your worth is not something you earn, it's something you inherently possess. It's not tied to your achievements, your appearance, your productivity, or your ability to make others happy. It exists because you exist, but believing this requires a fundamental shift in perspective. It means untangling yourself from the external metrics of success and approval that society imposes on us. It means learning to see yourself through your own eyes, not through the lens of others. This doesn't mean you won't care about others' opinions or feedback. It's natural to want connection and understanding. But there's a difference between valuing relationships and becoming dependent on external affirmation for your sense of self. When you stop chasing validation, you begin to reclaim your inner stability. You start to build a relationship with yourself that is rooted in self-acceptance rather than external approval. You allow yourself to be human, to make mistakes, to fall short without letting it define your worth. This process isn't easy. It requires confronting the narratives that tell you you're not enough. It requires sitting with discomfort, questioning the beliefs you've carried for years, and practicing self-compassion. But over time, it's liberating. You realize that the opinions of others, while they may have value, do not have the authority to dictate your worth. You begin to trust yourself more, to value your own voice, and to make decisions that align with your truth rather than seeking to please or impress. When you believe you are enough, you show up differently in the world. You stop over-explaining, over-apologizing, and overcompensating. You allow yourself to be seen authentically, knowing that your worth is not up for negotiation. You are free to live, love, and lead on your own terms, no longer tethered to the need for approval from others. Embrace your imperfections. They are part of what makes you lovable. We live in a culture that glorifies perfection. Everywhere we turn, we are bombarded with images of flawless people, impeccable lives, and seamless success stories. Social media, advertisements, and even the people around us often present an illusion that perfection is not only attainable, but necessary for love, respect, and happiness. It's easy to internalize this message and believe that in order to be loved, we need to be without flaws. But this belief is one of the most damaging lies we can carry. Imperfections are not weaknesses or failures. They are what make us human. They tell the story of who we are, where we've been, and how we've grown. Yet so often we try to hide these parts of ourselves. We mask our vulnerabilities, cover up our mistakes, and smooth over the rough edges, hoping to present a version of ourselves that feels worthy. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of the chance to be fully seen and fully loved. When we present a curated, perfect image to the world, any love or connection we receive is directed toward that facade, not the real us. And deep down, we feel it. We feel the disconnection, the loneliness, and the fear that if people truly knew us, the messy, imperfect us, they wouldn't stay. The truth is, real connection and real love are born from authenticity. When we allow ourselves to be seen as we are imperfections, and all we invite others to connect with us on a deeper level. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a bridge. It is through sharing our struggles, our fears, and our flaws that we create space for others to say, me too. The shared humanity is where love and belonging truly live. Embracing your imperfections requires courage. It means letting go of the fear of judgment and rejection. It means choosing to believe that you are enough, even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. It means looking at the parts of yourself you've tried to hide or fix and saying, you are still worthy. This doesn't mean you won't want to grow or improve. Self-growth is a natural and beautiful part of life. But there's a difference between growth that comes from self-love and growth that comes from self-criticism. The former says, I am enough as I am, and I want to become even better. The latter says, I am not enough, and I must change to be worthy. When you embrace your imperfections, you also give others permission to do the same. You create an environment of authenticity and acceptance. The people around you feel safer to show their true selves because they see you doing it first. And the love that grows in this space is richer and more fulfilling because it is rooted in truth, not performance. It's important to remember that no one is perfect. The people you admire, the ones who seem to have it all together, are carrying their own imperfections and insecurities, just like you. We all are. It's part of the human experience. What makes us lovable is not our ability to be flawless, but our willingness to be real, to be honest, and to show up fully as we are. When you stop fighting your imperfections and start embracing them, you begin to see them differently. You realize that your quirks, your mistakes, and even your scars are part of what make you unique. They add depth to your character and texture to your story. They make you relatable, approachable, and real. Embracing your imperfections is not about settling or giving up. It's about recognizing that you are already whole and that your worth is not diminished by the parts of you that are less polished. It's about standing in your truth and understanding that you don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be you. Be the love you seek, kind, compassionate, and forgiving to yourself. So often, we place the responsibility for our happiness and sense of worth in the hands of others. We wait for someone to love us in the way we've always dreamed, to show us the care and understanding we've longed for, or to heal the wounds we've carried for so long. But this expectation, while deeply human, is also a heavy burden to place on anyone else. The love we crave from others is often the love we are withholding from ourselves. Being the love you seek means taking ownership of your relationship with yourself. It means recognizing that the kindness, compassion, and forgiveness you desire from others must first come from within. When we look to others to provide us with these things, we often feel disappointed or let down because no one can meet our needs perfectly. But when we choose to give ourselves what we need, we step into our power. We realize that we don't have to wait for someone else to validate us, care for us, or make us feel whole. We can do that for ourselves. Kindness to yourself starts with the way you speak to yourself. For many of us, our inner voice is harsh and critical. We berate ourselves for mistakes, hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, and replay our failures over and over again. Imagine if you spoke to a loved one the way you speak to yourself. Would they feel supported and cherished, or would they feel torn down and unworthy? The way you talk to yourself matters. Choosing words of kindness, understanding, and encouragement creates a foundation of self-love that allows you to thrive. Compassion for yourself means acknowledging your humanity. It means recognizing that you will make mistakes, have bad days, and struggle at times, and that this is okay. We often extend compassion to others, but struggle to give it to ourselves. We tell friends it's okay to feel this way, or you're doing your best, but rarely offer ourselves the same grace. Compassion is about meeting yourself where you are and allowing yourself to feel and heal without judgment. Forgiveness is perhaps the hardest form of self-love, but it is also one of the most transformative. We carry so much guilt, shame, and regret for the things we've done or failed to own. We replay past choices, wishing to go back and change them, and in doing so, we chain ourselves to the past. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean excusing your mistakes. It means acknowledging them, learning from them, and letting them go. It's about recognizing that you were doing the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of your own judgment so that you can move forward with a lighter heart. When you choose to be the love you seek, you set the tone for how others treat you. You show the world that you value yourself, that you are worthy of care and respect, and that you will not accept anything less. This doesn't mean you won't need or desire love from others. Connection is an essential part of being human. But it means that your sense of worth is no longer dependent on someone else's actions or approval. You become your own source of love, and this love radiates outward, attracting people and experiences that align with your values and desires. Being the love you seek is not about selfishness, it's about wholeness. When you are kind, compassionate, and forgiving to yourself, you are better able to show up for others. You have more to give because your cup is full. You become a source of love and light, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. This kind of love starts within and grows outward, creating ripples of kindness and connection that touch everyone you encounter. True love flows naturally when you stop performing and start being authentic. In a world that constantly rewards performance, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we need to act a certain way to be loved. From an early age, we learn to adjust who we are based on what others expect. We become experts at hiding our true feelings, masking our vulnerabilities, and shaping ourselves into versions that feel more acceptable. Over time, this performance becomes second nature, and we lose touch with who we really are. But love, real, lasting love, cannot exist in the space of pretense. It thrives only where there is truth. Authenticity is the foundation of meaningful relationships. When you show up as your true self, you allow others to see you fully, your strengths, your fears, and your flaws. It can feel risky to let down your guard and expose the parts of yourself you've spent years hiding, but it's also freeing. Authenticity is a declaration of worthiness. It says, this is who I am, and I am enough. And when you live from this place, you attract the kind of love that sees you, honors you, and accepts you without conditions. Performing for love is exhausting. It requires constant effort to maintain the illusion of perfection, to meet expectations, and to anticipate what others want from you. But no matter how well you perform, there's always the fear that it's not enough. The irony is that even when people love the version of you you've created, it doesn't feel real because deep down, you know they're not loving the real you. Authenticity, on the other hand, takes courage, but it also brings peace. When you are true to yourself, the love you receive feels genuine and secure because it is rooted in who you truly are, not who you pretend to be. Being authentic doesn't mean you'll never face rejection. Some people may not resonate with your true self, and that's okay. Rejection can be painful, but it's also clarifying. It shows you who is meant to be in your life and who is not. The people who are meant to love you will love you for you, not for the mask you wear or the performance you give. And the relationships built on authenticity are the ones that stand the test of time. To embrace authenticity, you must first know yourself. This requires self-reflection and a willingness to explore who you are beyond the roles you play and the expectations placed on you. It means identifying your values, your passions, and your needs and allowing them to guide your actions and decisions. It also means practicing vulnerability, sharing your truth, even when it feels uncomfortable, and trusting that the right people will meet you there. Authenticity is not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about showing up with your whole self, even the messy, unpolished parts, and trusting that you are still worthy of love. When you live authentically, you give others permission to do the same, creating a space where true connection and love can flourish. This kind of love is not about performance or perfection. It's about two people seeing each other clearly and choosing each other fully. Wholeness is not found in someone else, it's found in yourself. We grow up hearing stories that romanticize the idea of being completed by another person. Movies, books, and cultural narratives often tell us that we are halves searching for our missing piece, that love is the ultimate solution to our loneliness and incompleteness. This idea can be deeply alluring, but it's also misleading. It places an impossible burden on relationships and sets us up for disappointment. Wholeness is not something someone else can give you. It is something you must cultivate within yourself. Looking for wholeness in another person often leads to dependency. We start to believe that our happiness, sense of worth, or emotional stability is tied to someone else's presence or behavior. This dependency can feel intoxicating at first, but over time it becomes stifling. It creates pressure in relationships where one person is expected to fill the gaps, heal the wounds, and provide the sense of completeness the other person feels they lack. This is not love, it is a form of attachment that often leads to resentment and unmet expectations. True wholeness comes from within. It begins with the realization that you are enough, exactly as you are. This doesn't mean you are perfect or that you don't have room to grow. It means that your value is not contingent upon someone else's approval or presence. Wholeness is about knowing who you are, your strengths, your passions, your boundaries, and honoring those things. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, whether or not you're in a relationship. This journey towards self-wholeness requires you to turn inward. It asks you to confront the parts of yourself that feel broken or inadequate, not with judgment, but with compassion. It means doing the inner work to understand your emotions, your patterns, and your desires. It means building a relationship with yourself that is rooted in love, respect, and care. The more you nurture this inner connection, the less you will look to others to fill the void. When you find wholeness in yourself, your relationships shift in profound ways. Instead of seeking someone to complete you, you seek someone to complement you. You are no longer looking for a partner to fix you or make you feel worthy. You are looking for a partner to share your already full life with. This kind of relationship is built on mutual respect, shared growth, and deep connection. It is not driven by fear of being alone, but by a genuine desire to connect with another person from a place of strength and self-awareness. Wholeness doesn't mean you won't experience loneliness or longing. These are natural parts of the human experience. But when you are whole within yourself, these feelings don't consume you. You know that your worth and happiness are not dependent on external circumstances. You are able to meet your own needs and hold space for your own emotions without relying on someone else to do it for you. This inner stability allows you to show up in relationships as your best self, capable of giving and receiving love in a way that is healthy, balanced, and free from unrealistic expectations. In the end, love isn't something you chase or find, it's something you embody and nurture within yourself. When you stop searching outwardly and instead turn inward, you realize that true love begins with self-love. By embracing your imperfections, letting go of external validation, and choosing to be authentic, you create the foundation for genuine connection and fulfillment. Wholeness doesn't come from another person, it comes from recognizing your own inherent worth. When you live as the love you seek, you not only transform your relationship with yourself, but also open the door to relationships that are rooted in truth, respect, and unconditional acceptance.